All right, welcome back. So you want to start a cash-based PT, OT, or healthcare practice, but a big question that you might have is how much is it actually going to cost to get started? And this is super common. And I really wanted to make this video because a few weeks ago, I actually saw a post from somebody on Instagram claiming that it may cost around $50,000 to open your own cash-based PT practice. I wanted to come on here and talk about my own experience because it very much did not cost that. So if you're worried about it costing like almost the same as a whole year of grad school to start your own solo cash-based practice, I'm here to tell you absolutely not. That's not true. It doesn't have to. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted it to, but it absolutely does not have to cost that much. And I want to share the actual numbers behind getting started. So I'm here to let you know that you can definitely do it a lot more affordably. And we are going to break down in this video exactly what the real cost could be for you getting started with your own cash-based practice. And if you're sitting here thinking by chance, once I get a few clients, then maybe I can actually invest into the business. We're going to talk about that too. If you are new here, my name is Morgan. I am a physical therapist and a business coach for clinicians starting their own practices. And we have tons of information here on this channel or on the podcast if you're listening there, all about everything that you could possibly need to get started in your own solo cash-based practice quickly, easily, simply. So definitely check out all of the content that we have. And if you're in a place where you are looking to get started with your own practice within the next 1 to 2 months, we would love to talk to you. If you are looking for help, we have an awesome program called DPT to CEO that is 5+ years in the making now. That is a complete roadmap on how to get started to finding your first 10+ clients for your practice. So if that is of any interest to you, check out the links in the description below and apply for the program today. So let's kick things off here by playing a little game that we like to call expensive compared to what? I want to start with the real numbers because above all else, I believe in objective data and information. So expensive compared to what is also a game that I learned from my own business coach to help give us some perspective on what we are investing in the business and what it can look like. So according to the US Small Business Administration, most micro businesses, which are us when we're first getting started, can cost anywhere between $2 to $5K to get started. When I started my own practice, I spent about $800 to $1,000 on setup stuff. And honestly, a big chunk of that was the cost for an LLC in Nevada. It's not the same in every single state. There are some states that don't require a business entity and some states where the LLC is $100. So I think like my numbers are even like a little bit high, but $800 to $1,000 on it. Like this is the startup and setup stuff. And then $1,800 on a coaching program because I invested in a coaching program right away. And it was definitely a great thing to do to get my feet wet and get started learning the process and learning how to work with clients on my own. So all in about like $2,600 to $3,000. And I also put together a chart because I love a table of the actual costs based on my experience. So these are my numbers on what it could cost you to start up your practice, depending on the type of practice, like type of delivery for services for your clients. Here's a fun table. We have here on the left all of the things that I would consider to be necessary to get started with your own business. And this, of course, might vary a little bit depending on what's going on, of course, but these are kind of like the main initial things that you'll probably need. And then we have across the top here, like 4 of, I would say, like the most common ways of setting up your own solo practice to work with patients and clients. So you could be home-based like I am, where I'm working out of my garage, or some therapists will work out of like a room in their house or out of their basement, things like that. We have telehealth, we have mobile, which means you go to the home or the workplace or somewhere outside of your home to go see your patients and your clients. So mobile, you go and meet them wherever they are, and then gym-based or renting space. And so as you can see, we have the cost for the business entity, business licensing, city business license. Wherever you live, your state and or city may require business licensing. So that's something to look into. Tiny plug. If you want help figuring out how to set up a business entity, our mini course is a great option because it'll walk you through how to set all of this stuff up that you see here on the screen. And as I'm talking it through on the podcast, it'll help you set up all this stuff so that you are legal and legit to start seeing patients. So, of course, we have our big business coaching program too. But if you are looking to just kind of dip your toes into the shallow end, the mini course would be a perfect fit. So, business licensing, your license, of course, as a clinician, liability insurance, documentation software, a business phone number, a website. I'm definitely of the mind that you should have a website if you are a business. Like, people should be able to find you, and we can always get into that more on another video as well. If you are renting space, purchasing equipment, car insurance, paying for gas for your car if you're mobile, phone service, and business cards. So a bunch of basics if you were just like really looking for like a skeletal setup for your practice. So that's all the things that are on this chart. All together over the course of a year, what you might be looking at investing like just in those things to get started would be, I would say, around $3,000 all in just to get started over the course of a year. And then here on the screen, I also split it up per month. So it might be somewhere between $200 to $300 a month over the course of a year is like what the costs, the expenses might add up to. Again, according to my experience. So not $50,000. Not 40, not 30, not 20. It's really not that much in the grand scheme of things. And I'm comparing it, right? Like saying expensive compared to what? For example, a lot of people who are getting into this, a lot of the clinicians that I talk to and the students in our program, myself, when I first got started, we wanted to replace our salaries, right? And like if you were making somewhere between $60,000 to $100,000 a year as a staff clinician, and you only have to invest $3,000 to start your own business and seeing clients where the goal is to make 100 grand. Of course, like, like if that's all you need to invest into the business, let's dive right in. And we can even look at it too in terms of like the number of patients that it might take to replace that. Like if it's going to be an expense somewhere between $200 to $300 a month, that's really only like 1 to 2 patient sessions a month, and you've covered your expenses. When you put it into like that lens, I think that really shifts a lot of the, I guess, like approach to investing in your business from, like, oh, this is like a big cost up front to, oh, like I only need 2 clients. Not that big of a deal. And obviously I know I'm biased because like I love working for myself and I love helping people like you work for yourself, but I love seeing this like raw data here to check out. And then with a mobile or gym-based business or renting space, those of course are going to come with more expenses because if you're paying for gasoline, that's like the biggest thing. Like you're going to be paying for gas a lot as you're driving around going to see patients. And you might be looking at spending somewhere between like $6,000 to $7,000 over the course of a year to start the business as like a gym-based practice, or if you're renting space somewhere with rent included. And I was looking at, I think about like $500 a month in rent, which that can be like plus or minus like several $100s. That varies all over the place. But including rent, you're looking at maybe investing somewhere between $9,000 and $10,000 over the course of a year. Again, like in your first year, which would break down to somewhere between $700 to $800 in a month. And then if we go back to our patient example, right, that would be, I don't know, somewhere between like 6 and 7 like sessions with clients to cover the expenses. And for most of the people that we work with, and I know I myself, when I was practicing full time for myself, I would see like 12 to 15 clients a week. And so like if all it takes is 6 to 7 per month to cover my expenses, on the other end, we're able to take home like a good chunk of the rest of that. And of course, that's like ballparking things, but I hope that's making sense. And please like leave comments down below if like as I'm like running through this money math, it's going a little bit too quickly. And if we want to like break anything else down a little bit more. And I did talk to somebody yesterday a little bit more about like what the experience might be like if you were to invest in business coaching. And I want to bring this up, because of course, yes, I'm doing business coaching and I love it. And I would love to help you if you want help. But I just want to put this out there, like about the different options, because a person I spoke with yesterday, like he asked like what the typical business program, like coaching length might be, what the investment in that typically is. And based on what I've seen for us, right, for people who are just getting started in business and starting your own practice, you will probably see coaching programs have an investment somewhere between, I would say, like five and $10,000 for somewhere between like 6 to 9 months for like a fully like comprehensive program. That's what ours is. It fits in that range. But there are some that are like a little bit more hands off that you'll find to be on the lower end of the investment range, and even like on the lower end of like the time span that you're with the coach. So maybe somewhere between like 3 to 6 months. And of course, like there are plenty of programs that are much higher. The highest I've seen is around $25,000 for a year's worth of coaching. There are all kinds of programs higher than that as well. But I would say, like, for most beginner programs, you're probably going to find programs that are like 6 to 9 months, somewhere between like $5,000 to $10,000 in an investment. And so I think, based on like my own experience doing this, business coaching has been the highest expense in terms of getting started. And what I also just kind of want to talk through, because this is just something, to consider if you're in a place where you're like, I want to start the business. I'm not sure if I want help. I'm not sure if I can afford help. Totally fair. And that's why, like we have our mini course available and all this content here on YouTube and on the podcast. You can figure out a lot of things on your own, but what it's going to end up costing you is time. And that's like the biggest pattern that I see over and over again, is that clinicians are all fired up to start their own practices, post a few times on Instagram, they maybe get 1 or 2 clients, and then it stalls. Here comes like lots of thoughts, honestly, of, like maybe I'm not good enough. Why aren't the clients buying? Why can't I make any sales? Why is nobody calling my practice? I feel like I really need help, but maybe if I just get like a couple more clients first, then I can afford to pay for the coaching to help me get the clients. And then it ends up being like a very like circular pattern of thinking, and you end up getting stuck. And I wanted to bring that up because just within the past 6 months or so, we've brought in a handful of students into the DPT to CEO coaching program where that's been their experience, is they have tried to make things work on their own. They spent about 6 to 12 months of their time trying to figure things out on their own, only to be left in a place where, like, yeah, maybe they're bringing in like $1,000 to $2,000 a month, but they can't get past that. And so they're really like stuck, like working either part-time or full-time in a job, and then also trying to grow their business at the same time, but they are lacking like time and energy in order to figure things out on their own. They get really overwhelmed and they know they need help, but they feel like it can be scary to invest into a coach and a program. And I understand that. You're trusting somebody to help you with where you're at right now. It's a good amount of money when you first look at it at the beginning. But as somebody who's invested in many coaching programs myself, what you get on the flip side is you end up saving yourself a ton of time. And when you think about not only like how you might be able to save yourself like 6, 7 months of your time, but when you're able to fill those 6 to 7 months with paying clients because of the things that you learned in the coaching program, you're going to end up making money, even though you have to invest a little bit at the beginning. Typically, I would say with most coaching programs, and like definitely with ours, like our goal is to help you make back at least your investment within the coaching program, if not like 1.5 to 2x your investment. And that's like what the typical results are that we see in the program. I think what it comes down to too, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments, because my assistant coach Sam and I, we talk about this a lot, is when we talk to clinicians who are hesitant to invest in our program, which again, understandable, it's not cheap. We feel like there are kind of like 2 different options. Like either it really is truly like a budget thing, and the person that we're talking to is just not financially in a place where it makes sense. And so like we help them get started with the mini course at least. Or it's not so much the financial commitment as it is facing the commitment to yourself. Because like committing to yourself that you are going to do this, you're going to follow through on a big project in a business that you're building for 6, 7 months minimum, but hopefully like years to come. That's a big commitment to make. And so like we don't take our work lightly at all. And so as like you're getting into this, and if you're worried about investing into coaching, or you're just like worried about investing into starting a business at all, I would encourage you to have a conversation with yourself about whether it is truly financial, or if we feel like maybe we're facing some more like internal conflicts and limiting beliefs about like making a big commitment to ourselves and trying something new, because that could be part of it. It's usually part of it in most cases, at least a little bit. If you're like stuck in this like cycle of I've already gotten things started and I know I need help, but I don't know if I can afford help. Let me get me some more clients so that I can afford to pay for coaching to get more clients. Maybe give yourself a deadline. That's what I suggest for most people, because like I said before, you can do a lot on your own. But if you're approaching like the 3 to 6 month mark and you have not seen progress and your practice is not growing, you don't have time to let that pattern go on any longer. Really, like if you want it to succeed and replace your income and be a serious source of income for yourself and your family, you don't have time to waste. If you've already tried doing it alone and it's not working, it's probably time to seek out help. So anyway, I know that this video, right, like we started off talking about like the cost of starting your own practice. And my hope is that by going through some of these numbers on that table, that gave you some really real information about how much it could cost, how much you might be investing into the business in order to get started. And you can take that information away from today. And, like if you're in a place where you're like, yeah, like I want to save up money, I think like a good place to start would be to probably save up somewhere between like $3,000 to $5,000 maybe. So you can invest like in some equipment, into the business entity itself, something like that. However, don't let the task of wanting to save up money prevent you from taking action, because there are a lot of things that you can do in the meantime. I'm just like kind of all over the place with this video, but I want you to see and think about all the things that like the fear of what it might cost to invest in your business, how many things that can really truly be related to, and that at the end of the day, for a business that most of us want to make us six figures or more, getting started with an initial investment of somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 is not that much. Especially considering like what we invested into our degrees, right? How much it costs to buy a house, to buy a car, just to get started with a small solo cash-based practice. It's not that much. Another piece too with this is if you're feeling like you're just kind of like hemming and hawing and like flip-flopping back and forth about like, should I, shouldn't I would encourage you to also think about like the cost of waiting and all of the time that like you might have available right now, where like you could be filling that time with paying clients, private clients, even if it's like 2 or 3 people every week, just to kind of like get your feet wet. There, like I said, there's a lot that you can do to just get started and start experiencing what it's like to work for yourself without having to go full throttle. But if you stay like stuck, just, like worried about even starting because you're worried about the cost of things, you're not going to go anywhere. We have to do something. And so the real objection, because like we have talked to, a handful of people probably in the past year, where I can see it in your eyes that like you really, 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 truly want to start this business. You've been wanting to do it for years. You're sick and tired of seeing hundreds of patients at your clinic and having to take documentation home every single day. You're tired of feeling overworked. You want to work with clients in a way that feels true to you, but that we're just like missing some kind of catalyst to get started. And I think for a lot of people, it is like the fear of the investment. Again, whether it's like just the business or the business plus coaching. And the real fear is, either you don't fully trust the coach or the program to get you results, and Totally understand. There's a lot of coaching programs out there, a lot that are like a good fit for you and what you're looking for, a lot that probably aren't the best fit. And so like I would encourage you to ask as many questions as possible and, seek out feedback from previous clients in the program. That's one fear, is maybe it's that, you don't trust the coach, don't trust the program, or like I said before, you don't truly trust yourself to follow through. And that's valid. It takes guts to bet on yourself, but if you do trust yourself to do the work and you're working with someone, a coach who has a proven track record of success, then investing is not a gamble. It's a strategy to help you get where you want to go faster. I said at the beginning, I really wanted to make this video because I am tired of seeing things that say that starting your own practice is going to cost, $50,000 or more, when that's just not true. And, putting this fear out there into into cyberspace, it's preventing a lot of people from getting started. And I want you to know that it doesn't have to cost that much. There is help available if you want it, but there are other like lower cost options to get started too. And like at the end of the day, like you're not a bad business owner, you're not bad with money, you're just scared to make a commitment to yourself. And that commitment is what is going to create momentum, and that's when things finally start working. And we've seen it over and over and over again with all the people that we've worked with, and that I've seen in my business as well. Just re-going over everything that we talked about today. The cost of getting started. You can start your business for around somewhere between like $3,000 to $5,000, I think at the most, like just to get stuff set up that's here on this chart. And you could even add in a business coaching program and keep things around $10,000 or less to build something that is ultimately like the goal is going to pay you back your initial investment and like 1,000 times that for many years to come. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. Let me know. And if you have gotten started and your numbers are different than what I shared in this episode, I'd love to hear about it. Hear more from you about your experience. So if you're tired though of spinning your wheels and you're ready to actually make progress in your business, and you're ready to make this year the year that you finally leave your job, work for yourself, please book a consultation with myself or one of my team members. We'd love to talk to you. And with these consults that we do, whether it is the DPT to CEO program or something else, we are totally happy to point you in the right direction. And I want you to know that like the dream of making $8,000, $10,000, $20,000 plus per month is real, but you have to stop waiting and start building. If you want more help, if you want any more information, please leave a comment down below with any questions and check out the links that we have down below about our program. And I'll see you on the next one.